Right, y'all. So I just saw this interview with Ryan. And baby, I be trying to give him some grace. But Lord, Ryan does not make it easy. I don't know if he's really just delusional in denial. I don't know. He, y'all, I be trying to give him grace, but friends, I don't know. I don't know. It's to me, it's very clear that Gypsy's played a lot of games with him, and that she doesn't value him or people. Period. You know, not even just him exclusively. Um, and you know, watching this play out, it makes me really realize why it's so important to really love yourself and set boundaries, because otherwise you become somebody's doormat. Like, y'all, I want y'all to watch this. I'll be right back. We'll talk about this after.
People say you are still in love with her and you can't let it go. Are you still in love with Gypsy?
I have days where it's yes, and I have days that are, does that make sense? I miss our connection. I will say I miss what we had together. Now, is she the same person that I fell in love with? I don't know. I like to tell myself no, but I also like to tell myself maybe she is. It's like this. I'm always going to love the girl I've married. She might not be that girl anymore, but that's the girl I married. And so there's always going to be that image of her that I created. Might be real, might be false, but I'm always going to care for her regardless. And she said the same about me. I've always got a special place in her heart as well. It just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
We split up. We never got that time to reconcile, or try to work on our marriage, because the next weekend Christy brought Ken in, and then a month later she's pregnant. And then, like, so how am I supposed to react to that? Oh
Yeah.
wow, my ex-wife, who I thought was working on things with, now is pregnant with another man, and it could be mine. We had relations, like, but I'm supposed to now just let her go and act like nothing ever happened between us because he's there. And like, that's hard to grasp. It's hard to accept in a lot of ways.
Tell me what y'all think. Because I'm not gonna lie, Ryan, all I could do was this. Because I'm like, dude, be so for real right now. What is happening? So much time has passed by, and you would think that he would have gotten it by now, but I don't know. It's just mind boggling to me, and I can't understand. I don't get it. I really don't. And I can't say that I do get it. Like, yeah. Um, man, truly loving yourself is powerful.
Story time about how a former student came to my classroom and asked me on a date. Let me give you a little backstory. I was teaching high school math. At the time, I was teaching AP statistics, so I did have seniors. It was my third, fourth, fifth year, I don't know, teaching AP statistics, and I was always very sure about keeping my distance from the students, in the sense of I always said, like, I had a hula hoop on me, around me, don't get too close to me, just because I wanted to maintain that boundary of teacher and student relationship, because I know that I look young. So I didn't want them thinking that I was their friend, because I am in a position of power as a teacher. So we returned back from winter break in January 2020. Should have known this was how the year was going to go. And I kept getting a phone call on my work phone, which I don't even know that phone number, so I don't know how they got through the office to get to my phone. But I didn't answer it, ever, because I don't have time. I was teaching. So then I got an email from this former student asking me to come and see me. And I was like, is there something you need? Can you just email me? He's like, no, I need to see you. And I was like, okay, fine. You can come up to the school on this day and this time. I'm thinking maybe it's about a letter of recommendation, because he had just graduated the previous year, so he was a 2019 grad, and I'm thinking it's something to do with that. But again, I'm not sure why he can't just email me about it, because there's no reason for me to be interacting with a former student at this time. But whatever, he can come up to the school because that's a safe place. He wanted to meet outside of the school, and I said I was only comfortable meeting at the school. So About a week later, he comes up to the school. I have to go down to the office to pick him up. I meet him in the office and he is wearing a suit. So that's the first red flag. Like, why is this boy wearing a suit? Again, boy is the key word. He is 19 years old. Why is he wearing a suit? And he presents me with Clemson Tiger Paw cookies, which I'm not going to eat because I don't really eat a lot of things from students because they could be poisoning me. But like, kind gesture, but again, another red flag. So I bring him up to my classroom because that's where we can talk. And my desk is positioned so that I'm looking directly out the door. So I have him sit at my table that's right next to my desk. So his back is to where the door is and I'm looking out into the door, and I left my door open. And he immediately asked, can we shut the door? And I said, no, we can't shut the door. Teachers and students cannot be in classrooms alone, which is true, especially with the door closed. So I'm, again, trying to maintain my boundaries. So he starts going in and he's like asking how I'm doing and all this stuff. And let me just give you a little bit of backstory in the sense that last year when he graduated, he gave me like a letter, like a 3-page typed up letter about how great of a teacher I was, etc. I did think it was a little weird, but like not so weird because he also gave one to my colleague who was a male. So I was like, maybe he's just like very nice. I don't know. But I never really had any interactions with this student beyond teaching him. Like, he didn't stay in my classroom, he didn't come for lunch, which I don't normally have anyways, but some teachers do that. So I didn't really see him outside of teaching him. So we are sitting there, and I had already told another teacher, like, if this goes long, I need you to kind of come and interrupt it because I'm kind of feeling uncomfortable with this whole situation as to why the student is here on my planning period and had to see me. And now he's wearing a suit, so I know something's up. So he's asking how I'm doing, and he just kind of dives right into it. He's like, so I was wondering if you would go on a date with me. And I looked at him, probably gobsmacked, and said, no, I won't go on a date with you. And he goes, well, please just give me a chance. And he keeps going into it. And I'm like, no, let me remind you, I am a teacher. You may have graduated, but you are still a child in my eyes. You are 19 years old. I am significantly older than you. I'm not going to go out to a bar, which, by the way, you can't get into a bar because you are a child, and pick up a 19-year-old. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to date someone who's my age or older. In my opinion, that's just the way that I work. And he is just like very, not upset, but he just like keeps going back like, why can't I, like, please let me take you on a date, maybe just like a coffee date. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to let you take me out on a date. And he goes, can I maybe explain to you like a little bit about my feelings for you? And I wanted to say no, but I think I did say no actually, but he just wouldn't, like, he wasn't going to leave. And so he's like, I think about you when I'm driving to my classes. I think about you when I'm making my eggs. And I'm like, trying to breathe because I'm like, okay. And he goes, do you think about me? And I looked him dead in the face, and I didn't want to break his heart, but also at the same time, I was like, I don't think about you. You were my student. That's the bottom line. That was our relationship, teacher, student. That's it. And I'm sorry that you feel otherwise, but nothing else was going to come of it. So he keeps going on, and I did ask him, I go, did I do something to make you think that this was going to go anywhere? Because I would never want to make a student think that I'm interested in them, because I'm not, because they're children. And his response was, he remembered the exact date. It was like February 4th, 2019. I might be fudging the date a little, but it's not pertinent. He goes, you handed me a test back from AP Stats that I had failed, and you looked at me and said, I know you can do better than this. And he said, that's the moment I fell in love with you. And I was like, so I did my job by telling you that I believed you could do better than this based on what I knew about your knowledge about the content, and you fell in love with me? And he said yes. And I didn't have a reasoning, like I didn't have a lot to say to that. And then I asked him, I go, did you talk to anybody about this? Like, did you tell your friends? Knowing I don't think this boy has a lot of friends, but maybe he told his friends or explained to his parents why he was leaving in the middle of the day to go back to his high school. And he said, no, I didn't tell anybody, and I'd appreciate if you didn't tell anybody. And I looked at him and I said, don't you think that's kind of a big thing, that you wouldn't tell anybody that you're coming here to do this? That maybe it's saying that this isn't an appropriate situation. You should be dating people your own age and not someone who was your teacher. And he just wasn't understanding. He just kept going. And so I did have my friend come in, and she had asked like a math question and asked it, because said that we needed to go to a meeting or something to try and get him to leave. And he was like, you know, you're handling this really well. he said that to me, like, you're handling this really well. And I was like, I'm not sure how you expected me to handle this. I'm handling this professionally and trying to let you down and not crush your feelings, but also like explain to you that this isn't an appropriate relationship between you and I, because we don't have a relationship. So yeah, and he still sends me happy birthday messages every year on my birthday. He sings to me. When the clock hits midnight, he sends me a video of himself singing on my personal email, because I do give my personal email to some of my students if they need a letter of recommendation for something in college. Obviously, I wouldn't do that anymore. I have learned my lesson. I will be blocking him. I have made sure he does not see me on any type of social media. But yeah, that was a challenge dealing with that. Nobody prepares you for that, because you don't really anticipate that, and you do everything you can to make sure that a student doesn't feel that way. So yeah.
How many of y'all saw that teacher that was saying that one of her students asked her out once he graduated? I don't know. Everything about that situation gives me red flags. Before I talk about it, I want to say that people are very predictable as far as like patterns and behaviors, because we're humans. The first red flag for me was when she said she always has something around her because she looks young and she doesn't want the students to ever get her confused with someone younger. Like what? Implying that students can't control themselves around her or overly explaining things. For her to say that in the beginning, that was such a huge red flag to me. But for her to also state that she didn't want to hurt his feelings, like, girl, what? At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her on America's Most Wanted or Dateline. I'm just saying. Like, she's giving... Am I the only one thinking it? Please tell me I'm not the only one. Northwest is 12 years old and she's already giving therapy sessions her mama's $1 billion glam team couldn't buy, because the way she just checked Kim Kardashian for crying about Kanye. Ooh, child. The apple rolled straight into the confessional booth. So according to TMZ, Kim was having one of those emotional nights, crying in her room over everything she's been through with Kanye. But North walks in and basically said, Mom, I know you're crying. Let it go. 12 years old, not 12 going on a therapy degree. Like, North didn't just walk in the room. She walked into her generational assignments. See, North has seen it all. Her dad's rants, her mom's tears, the cameras, the chaos. And when children grow up like that, they develop almost like a sixth sense. They can feel the energy before you even say a word. That little girl read Kim's mood like a headline. And Kim's out here sobbing like it's the season finale of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And North said, no, ma'am, not on my watch. I got homework in the morning. I know we joke about it, but honestly, North might just be the most emotionally intelligent one in the entire family. She's not afraid of the truth. She's not performative, and she clearly doesn't have time for pity parties. Meanwhile, Kim's realizing motherhood means your kids will call you out, especially when they've seen it all. They've lived life through the cameras, and North is basically saying, stop crying over my daddy. He's trending again. Get up. So yeah, while Kim's crying over Kanye, North's over here building character arcs. She's got the sass of Kanye, the spotlight of Kim, and the emotional range of a woman who's already seen too much. I can't wait for her memoir. My mom, my dad, and my Wi-Fi password. Child, it's gonna be wild. D'Angelo, man, this one hurts. We didn't just lose a voice, we lost a vibe. The kind of artist that would make you stop mid-scroll, mid-thought, mid-breath. The kind of soul you felt when he wasn't even saying a word. D'Angelo passed away at 51 after losing his battle to pancreatic cancer. His family said the shining star of our family dimmed his light for us tonight. And that line broke me, because he was really that. A light for every R&B artist that came after him. From Brown Sugar to Voodoo to Black Messiah, he didn't just sing love songs, he redefined them. He gave neo-soul its heartbeat. And what's wild? He did it all while being the most mysterious man in music. He disappeared for years, and then came back sounding like he never left. That's legacy. He leaves behind 3 children, one with the late Angie Stone, who we lost this year. 2 legacies, 2 voices that shaped an entire generation. And I just hope they're somewhere in heaven, just jamming out, free from pain, and making heaven sound better than ever. So rest easy, D'Angelo. You didn't just make music. You made magic. You made us feel again. And the world is just a little bit quieter tonight without you. The Lion King taught us more about power than any civics class ever did. And I'm about to prove it. Mufasa looked noble, but he ruled through fear and loyalty. He didn't run a democracy. He ran a food chain with PR. And Scar? He wasn't just jealous. He was exposing the bias. That's what happens when you question power. You don't get promoted. You get exiled. Then you have Simba, raised to believe his dad's legacy was flawless. When he came back, he didn't change the system. He just restored the same one that failed before. But the real hero? Nala. She challenged Simba, organized the return, and fought survival when everybody else accepted decay. That's real leadership. So yeah, The Lion King wasn't just a kid movie. It was a masterclass in power, propaganda, and privilege. Civics class gave us theory. Disney gave us receipts.